Hi, welcome to the IAF Oceania Road to Geelong podcast. I'm Carolyn Smith, and today I'm talking with Sarah Davies. Welcome, Sarah.
Thanks, Caroline. Great to be here.
Lovely to have you. And so, this is all part of our counting down to the 2026 IAF Oceania Conference in Geelong from the 14th to the 16th of October. And it gives listeners a chance to check out who's going to be there and who they might like to connect with. And also, it gives us a chance to hear from those that have generously supported our silent auction, which is part of the conference. So, Sarah, we're going to get into your generous donation to the auction in a moment. But before we do that, can you tell us a bit about yourself? Where are you based and what is your area of focus?
Okay, so I am based in Auckland, although I'm originally from England. I've lived in New Zealand for more than 20 years now. Um, and my area of focus is training facilitators who want to be recognized and booked by their ideal clients.
Fabulous. So that is a very strong relationship to facilitation. And so what first drew you into this field?
Okay, so when I was a first-time mum, I was working for an agency and as a consultant, and they were a family friendly agency. And there was this one day when my daughter, who was she was probably just over a year at that point, where she was sick, and I rang in to tell them I couldn't come in, and I was met with this immense pressure of, is she really that sick? Um, and can't you just send her to the daycare? And then the worst one was, uh, can can we pay somebody to look after her so that you can come into the office? And that day, my trust broke in that agency, and I realized that I needed to take ownership of my career. And so then I was I was working as a contractor for them, but I was kind of like a permanent contractor, and just realized that I needed to take a different pathway and start my own businesses. And so that led me into the entrepreneurial route. Um, and I found it really, really hard as a consultant to land work. I'd never had to find my own clients before. I'd never had to win work. And so it was really, really tough. So many times I was on the brink of giving up. And basically, my business accelerator beyond the hourly rate is everything I wish I had had back then to, support myself, everything that I had to learn the hard way, um, so that other people can have a career, continue their career, and if they don't want to be answerable to a boss and have freedom over their time, then they've got another option and they can learn the business skills they need to match their expertise.
I love that. And I hear from what you're saying that really strong why. So we talk a lot about having a why. And for
Mm.
you, what compelled you to start a business was that, wanting to be able to put your family first and to not be at the beck and call of a boss. How important do you think it is for people in business to have that strong sense of purpose?
I think it's incredibly important because that's what keeps you motivated. That's what gets you out of bed in the morning. It can't just be about the money. It's not enough for it to just be about the money. It's, whatever your why is has got to be has got to be really, really strong, because especially as a business owner, we're so often put outside of our comfort zone. We've actually got to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. Um, and so when you have a strong why or a strong purpose, that's what pulls you through.
Mm, mm. And so initially it was about family, and then obviously your business has morphed into beyond the hourly rate and working with facilitators and service providers. So
Yep.
what would you say is your why for what you're doing now?
My why for what I'm doing now is to create that container. So I see so many people with fantastic expertise who really, really struggle to make their business work.
Mm,
And it's because they the difference between having really good expertise and running a business, two completely different skill sets. And so
mm,
my purpose is to create a container so they can learn those skills so we don't keep losing good people. We lose good people, and behind those good people, when we lose them, is somebody's self-belief in themselves. They give up on the dream. There's also their future clients who actually need them, and
mm,
because they haven't got the positioning right, they end up thinking that they're not good enough and give up, or that the work isn't out there. And I think that that is a real shame,
mm,
because without, like, facilitators make such an impact. The ripple effect that facilitators have, if you think as a collective, the ripple effect of every workshop that they do and the people who are in that workshop and what those attendees then take home for their families, all that gets lost. And we don't want that. We don't want that.
mm. I can hear the passion. And I love that. So it just segues beautifully into asking, what is it that you really love about what you do?
I really love working with clients to help them discover new opportunities. So, for example, one of my clients, Donna, she bridges the gap between the Maori world and the Pākehā world in New Zealand, teaching Pākehā people how to do business with Maori. And uh, um, I use a proof first method where we get evidence up front of exactly who your ideal client is and what they want to invest in. And my clients go through a validation process. And when she went through that validation process, she discovered two great opportunities for partnerships that she hadn't seen at all. One
Mm,
with a huge organization and the other with a government agency. And those had not been on her radar at all. So, it's kind of like, well, when you're doing business on your own, it can feel like all the doors are closing, but actually, when you're in community and when you're working on your business and you're following a roadmap, suddenly more and more opportunities start coming to you, and you seeing them.
yeah, I love that. I love that. And I think when people understand their goal or their why,
Mm,
it helps them to see opportunity. I do a lot of facilitation around strategy, and often people get stuck on what they're going to do, but they
yeah,
don't, they find it really hard to describe why. And
yes.
so I see when they put a goal that's actually in action, you've
Yeah.
kind of closed down the creativity straight away. If you
Mm,
have a goal that's actually somewhere you want to be or something you want to achieve, there's many pathways.
mm.
So you talk about kind of helping them to develop that pathway.
Yep.
What's involved in creating a pathway? So we've talked about that strong goal, that
Mhm.
why, that purpose that holds you there. What are some of the other things that you think are important?
So values,
Mm-hmm.
aligning your strategy with your values. So we've got our purpose, and then we've got our values. The values are really important in decision making, because suddenly you see all these opportunities, and then you can kind of then you've got to decide what's actually going to work for you, right? And fit into your life. So we use values for decision making, then going through the validation, who the ideal client is, what they want to invest in, and then from the validation process, that's what we then create the strategy or the roadmap from. And so there's
Mm,
no more kind of guesswork or making assumptions. You're actually working from real evidence. and
Mm,
creating the roadmap. So the next part of the roadmap is align. That's about creating a really, really strong identity so that people are like, oh yeah, she's exactly who I need to work with. Um, and then creating your service or your offers so that it's really, really clear what you're offering and you know from your validation that it's actually what people want to invest in.
mm.
Then we get to the marketing part because too many businesses, they jump to the marketing first and then it can just be like, and I say this with love, but making noise. So it's not actually, getting being effective, bringing in the clients, and getting you the work that you're so capable of doing.
Yeah, yeah. I described once to someone when you jump in and do marketing without any clear sense of who you're actually marketing to and what you want to say, is like throwing thousands of darts in the air and hoping some of them land somewhere useful and not on you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mm.
So, what's a question that keeps coming up when you're working with self-employed facilitators?
Um, what's my niche or how do I stand out? And facilitators can feel like it's a saturated market, everybody's offering the same, but that's not true. That's not what I see. I work with a lot of facilitators and I see that each one is unique, each one is different. When they have gone through the process, they've all got very, very different, unique messaging that they're using. They've all got different areas of expertise or how they deliver. For example, I've got two clients. Tim, he's called the Everyday Leader. He works with, he does leadership facilitation. And then Susie and Sharon, who have a company called Amped. And they're all working with leaders, but in a completely different way. And they've got their own methodologies, and their own, way of delivering. And different clients be attracted to different people for different reasons. But when you've done the validation up front, when you've got the proof first, then you've got the confidence in what you're delivering, and you don't feel like you are, just another person in a saturated market.
Yeah, yeah. So, if you could give one piece of advice to self-employed facilitators from all the experiences that you've had working with so many different types of facilitators, what would
Yeah.
it be?
It would be to get the proof first, like
Mm,
stop the marketing, um, get the proof first, and then build your strategy or your roadmap from the evidence, from the data that you get from your validation process, so that you know that you're not going to be wasting time and money going in the wrong direction. And a lot of facilitators are solo operators, so they can't afford to make expensive mistakes where they're not getting the return on investment.
mm, mm,
And I think that this is really important. I don't even get the website until you've done the validation, and then you'll
mm.
know exactly what to put on the website. Don't do the
Yeah.
marketing until you've done that. And I think it's so, so important. Um, and yeah, a lot of people, if you're already established, you may kind of feel like you've got gaps, but you don't know where the gaps are. Um,
Mm,
I've created a 2-minute quiz called Win More Work. And that actually goes through, and it will help you identify where the gaps are in your business. Because if you're kind of established, it can feel a bit like doing a renovation versus a new build, and hard to see, well, where are the problems? Uh, and to actually identify them and also know what the next actions are to take.
yeah. I know that at the moment, there's been a lot of pressure and tough times for a lot of people.
Mhm.
And we've seen in New Zealand, like I work with not-for-profits, so yeah, that's been quite a hard space with lack of funding
Yep.
and for yeah, working with government or different agencies. Sometimes the kind of work that maybe facilitators provide can be seen as the nice to have. What
Yes.
are you seeing and what gives you hope in what you're doing with people who are working in this space?
Yeah. So I'm actually seeing movement in this space. I'm seeing movement, but what I'm seeing is that we've got to come away from the nice to have or seen it as a kind of luxury, team building jolly. What is the actual transformation? Like
Mm,
where when you can show a prospect what the return on investment is for them working with you, then it becomes a no-brainer, right? But if it's seen as a bit of a jolly, then they're not going to see it as something that's a priority right now.
mm,
So that's really about creating a really strong identity of the transformation that you create and
mm,
why you should invest. And then when you're writing proposals, making sure that you're asking the right questions so that your proposal then reflects is kind of a mirror to answer the problem that they're trying to solve. Because
nice. Yeah.
nobody's kind of in a space now where their focus is on must-haves right now.
Mm, yeah. So becoming a must-have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That's great. So let's talk about the lot that you've
Yes,
donated to the IAF Oceania silent auction. Tell
yes.
us, what have you
Okay. So
donated?
it's actually a place in my business accelerator beyond the hourly rate to work with myself and the other experts in the business accelerator for 12 months. So my business accelerator beyond the hourly rate, we support you to create a validated strategy and then implement each piece of that strategy over the 12-month period. So working with top level coaches and myself to make sure that you're fully supported and actually working on the vital tasks in your business that are going to make a difference.
Wonderful. That sounds like an amazing uh, opportunity. So, who do you think will most gain or get the most out of this?
Okay, so I think the people that will get the most out of it are people who are being overlooked, who are missing out on opportunities, or who feel like they're in a saturated market. Alternatively, it's somebody who does something quite different and needs to educate the audience. It's something that, that's quite new, and they all need to get a strong identity and so that they can get in that short list and then prove themselves through their proposal or pitch, etc., and get chosen. And so we cover the validation, align, which is creating your strong identity, deliver, which is all around creating a methodology, being priced for profit, and everything to do with delivering your service. And then marketing, we have lots and lots of different marketing tactics that we train people in, but we want you to choose those tactics that align with your value, strengths, and skill set. And then the last one is around convert, and that's about sales training, but sales with integrity. So it feels like a
Mm.
win-win for everybody involved.
Excellent. So we're IAF Oceania, which is Australia, New Zealand, and the Pacific Islands. So who is this available to?
Everybody, it's online. So all of
Yep.
our work is online. And so it's available to any facilitator who feels, that sounds like a good fit for them. Yep.
Nice. And I've heard you talk about finding that point of difference. So finding that, what sets you apart. So putting you on the spot, Sarah,
Mm.
what makes your course stand out where there are other types of business courses available?
So this is tailored specifically for people who sell their time, who have the expertise, and it's end to end. And so we cover everything that you need to know to go to be recognized by your ideal clients, to be booked by them, to be in demand. A lot of the other courses that I have seen only offer part of it, whilst this is everything that you need. Also being in a community of people who are just like you, but who are, making big moves, being bold, and really you have a shared goal. There's a huge momentum that gets created, and we find that success becomes inevitable when you're in that environment. We've all heard the saying about you being kind of the what the five people around you are, kind of being the culminative of the five people around you. And when you're in this environment with other founders who are also working on their business and, making big moves, then you'll start to think, oh, if they can do it, I can do it too.
Nice. Yeah. So being with people who share that passion and drive
Yeah.
to succeed and to support each other. So
Mm.
when people complete your course, what is your hope for them?
My hope for them is that they have confidence, that because mindset is such a big thing when you're a business owner, that they have confidence in themselves, that they see the value that they bring, um, that they are in demand and they're being recognized for their expertise and being booked.
Nice.
Yeah.
And coming back to, being involved in setting up this business, what or who inspires you in the work that you do?
My clients inspire me so much because I get the privilege of sitting in the middle of this community of amazing people with amazing expertise, and seeing them take big leaps and stretching themselves. And I find it really, really inspiring to be part of that, and their success is what drives me. I love it. We do a meeting on a Monday morning called the Power Hour, which is the injection of motivation for the week. And people show up and share their wins, and everybody congratulates them. And it's just so cool to see people being paid well for their expertise, actually creating a life that they love.
Wonderful. That's a great thing to be inspired about. So what keeps
Mm.
you curious in this work? What's your curiosity around, Sarah?
My curiosity when I'm working with a client is, what is the quickest way to get to financial certainty? And there's so many different ways to build a business. There's so many different ways to become in demand, but what is the quickest way? What is going to align with that person? What are the opportunities that we're not seeing right now
Mm,
that are going to be uncovered in that validation when they're using the proof first method? And it's never the same. So it's always really, really exciting. And it might be, I had a client, Meredith, she's a facilitator. She works with companies delivering workshops on menopause in the workplace. She went through the validation process and she said something came up she would have never, ever anticipated. And I think out of the 15 interviews she did, 12 people said, what's this got to do with me? If it's menopause, shouldn't they be going to their doctor? And she had some great research around actually why it is relevant to them. And then that's something that it's kind of really helped her to move forwards in her business, understanding what's going on in somebody's head, and now being able to get breakthroughs. So yeah, that kind of stuff is really, really cool. And you're not going to read it anyway. It's going through the process that is going to uncover that.
excellent. So you've covered a lot of different things. And really what I'm hearing is find out who your clients are, be clear on what your market is, who your market is, what your point of difference is before you start getting out there and throwing those marketing darts around the world. And
Yeah.
having a process and support and a network and a community around you. And I really hear that, passion from your own experience. Like, I don't want people to go through what I went through.
Yeah.
So for our listeners, if you thought of three things you would love them to take from our conversation today, what would they be,
Yes.
Sarah?
My three things that I would love them to take would be get proof up front, create a strong identity, and from that strong identity, get your self-belief, because I think that's the thing, the self-belief. Um, and actually, when they get the validation, they get the self-belief because they've heard it externally from their future clients. But that self-belief is so, so important, because a strategy, without the mindset, a strategy is very hard to implement a strategy if you don't believe in yourself.
Mm,
And so that's something that we support our clients with as well.
wonderful. Thank you. So, how do people connect with you, Sarah, if they want to learn more about your course or what you do, what you offer?
Yep. So my website is beyondthehourlyrate.com, or you can connect with me on LinkedIn, Sarah Davies Business Coach. Um, yeah, that's probably the two easiest ways to come into my world.
Cool. And you're also going to, so we'll have a link. We have a link for people to follow if they want to do the short questionnaire to
Yep.
find the gaps. I know
Yes.
you've talked about, and I've had the privilege of jumping onto one of those sessions. And you talk about the messy middle. So yeah, that you're really good at defining the different places people might be at.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. It's hard when you're in the messy middle. And when how far we've come, you kind of like, oh, I'm never going to get there. There's always more to do in front, but also actually learning to love the messy middle and seeing what you have achieved as you progress in your business. The two big things that I see that keep people stuck are not having a plan and being in isolation.
Mm, great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, it's been lovely talking to you. And so if people want to go in and bid on your getting a place in your course, they can jump onto our website, which is facilitationinaction.com.au. You'll also find information about the conference. So in Geelong from the 14th to 16th October. You can learn more about IAF Oceania as well and being part of the IAF community. And you can connect with Sarah through LinkedIn and on her website, and also jump on and do that quiz. So thank you so much, Sarah, for being on the program today.
You're so welcome. Great to chat to you, Carolyn.
You too. And thank you for all those that jumped in and listened. We look forward to seeing you on future episodes.